Y'all are ready. Welcome to State of Self-Care. It's what BFF titled it. I have been having these panel discussions with Black women all over the place, and I call it the State of Self-Care for Black women because we're centering us this morning in this conversation. I'm Qatar McCarty. I am the CEO and founder of Exhale app. You should have a business card in front of you with a QR code. Yes, this is my commercial. You can scan that QR code and download the app. I created Exhale app in 2020 in response to my own well-being and my mental health and trying to find something during 2020, kind of early on in the spring, when the crap was hitting the fan. I should probably use good language here. Clean? I didn't ask. I forgot to ask. Is there no filter? Because sis likes to cuss. I forgot to ask. But when the shit was hitting the fan, because that's what it was, hitting the fan, I was reaching for mental health, wellness apps, emotional well-being apps, mainstream apps, I won't say their names. And I was really frustrated to find that they were saying nothing to the Black community. The community disproportionately, the oppression that exists in our community was being exacerbated during that time. I was worried for my mother, who is now 80. She has pre-existing conditions. I was concerned, like many of you, for a lot of our family members. Then the killings of Ahmaud, Breonna, George were playing out on our phones, in our news feed, on the news in our news cycles. Super stressful, traumatizing time for our community. And when I went to try to find something to help center myself, de-stress, there was nothing. So I got mad, frustrated. I was yelling at the TV, like, you're not telling the full story. We're not being impacted by COVID because we're Black and because we have pre-existing conditions. We're being impacted because of health inequities, systemic racism. So I was just really, really frustrated and decided to create the very thing I was looking for. And so I got to work. I'm not a techie person. I remember when in school we transitioned from typewriters to computers, so I'm telling my age. Some of the people that chuckled are like, I remember that too, and the people that didn't laugh, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not funny. So I'm 51. Hello to 50s. Let's go. We scared of 50. We're a little scared of 50. Anyway, so I'm not a techie person, but I knew that what I was looking for didn't exist. And so I remember sharing with my adult daughters, my husband, my idea. Of course, they were super supportive and encouraging me to just go for it. And so we got to work and we were able to launch the first version of Exhale app in August of 2020. Since then, I've been working diligently to create a new version, build a team. And so we just released our new version this summer. We went to Essence Fest and spent the weekend at Essence Fest. And we were able to release our current version. So our new version, more custom, beautiful app is in the App Store and in Google Play. We have 17,000 downloads in 55 countries because Black women are everywhere and Black women want this resource. So be sure to download it, subscribe, share with Black women in your life. Exhale is actually more than an app. We're a movement, and through education, research, and partnerships, and advocacy, Exhale is creating structural change to disrupt how our society approaches the mental and emotional health for Black women. Excel centers Black women as powerful change makers in their families and community. We believe when Black women are fully seen, that we can fully heal. And as we heal others. And our first product, Excel app, again, is available in the App Store and Google Play. And I'm so excited to be here. We are, again, unapologetically prioritizing Black women, resulting in not just us thriving, but our communities thriving. And so we launched a report, a survey, where we Excel surveyed over 1,000 Black women nationwide around their mental, emotional, and physical health when it pertains to their intersectional identities. So I brought the report today, some data from that report, and we're gonna have a discussion around some of the key findings that came up during that report. So I want to take a moment and let our beautiful, amazing, phenomenal panelists introduce themselves. I don't like to introduce people. I like for them to introduce themselves. And what I would like you all to do is share not just what you do, because we're more than our work, right? We're more than the organization that we work for. You're a whole ass person. So, right? We're whole people. So I want to hear, yes, where you come from, what you do, but I also want to hear a little bit about who you are. So whoever would like to go first, please share. Introduce yourselves.
I'll go first. It's always the Aries. My name is Deja Green. I am from Canton, Ohio. I'm super happy to be here with you all and share this space. Katara for moderating this super amazing panel. It's so crazy that I'm actually on this panel because I was talking to your daughter and I was like, it's just crazy how far you can come in 1 year. I don't know if any of you were here last year, but I was actually like walking on this cane. I had just had surgery 2.5 weeks prior to the Black Footwear Forum last year. And I was actually a part of the SEED program, and now I currently am a part of Adidas basketball team as an assistant footwear designer.
I'll tell you what can happen in 1 year.
Yes. It's just so amazing because now I'm a part of the Adidas basketball team, and just the people, the resources, the people supporting me, like just full circle moment right now, and just even being in community with you three is just amazing. I just have no words, but yes, so I'm from Canton, Ohio, currently a part of the Adidas performance basketball team as an assistant footwear designer, and I am also a certified breathwork facilitator. And I stumbled across breathwork just from being anxious, having anxiety, having depression. One morning I woke up and I found breathwork, and I started breathing intentionally, and I realized that it really had a huge impact on my day and how my day would go. So I implemented that into my routine. I would do breathing exercises, and I would share with my friends. I would share the YouTube videos. I would do it with my teammates. And like, I play football, women's tackle football, so when I'm on the field, I do my breathwork exercises, and I even meditate before the games. And people are like, why are you so calm? And I'm like, why are you so angry? Like, you don't have to, why are you so aggressive? And so I just really implemented breathwork, and I just want to share that with you all. And I'm happy that I have the Excel app downloaded because I actually listened to some of those videos, and I hope you all download it too and utilize that resource. And yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm April Dinwiddie, and a joy to be here. It is like a homecoming. It's really special, so thank you for bringing us together and having this time. You talked about intersectional identities, and that has been sort of a centerpiece of who I am, separated from mother of origin at an early age and Massachusetts, adopted into a very white family in Rhode Island. And so I was doing DE&I work before I even could talk, right? Trying to figure out how to negotiate and navigate environments that weren't always safe for me. So I have a lot of muscle memory when it comes to being in majority white spaces and figuring out how to determine what is and what isn't for me. So that I've carried that with me through many different parts of my career. My career started at 9 West Group in Stamford, Connecticut on 9 West Broad Street before it was bought by Jones New York. I'm really showing my age. Vince Camuto and Jack Fisher were very much still a part of that business, and many other leaders in the footwear industry. And I was hired as the retail marketing manager. Had never worked in a footwear retail store. I served any number of ways, whether it be in, in restaurants or ice cream shops or whatever. So I understood service, and I learned from one of the sort of more mature footwear brands early on how to be in a market, how to take a brand, how to make sure that brand was translated in the market. And then I went on to Kenneth Cole, and then I was in different agencies and things, and left all of that to do work in foster care and adoption and research and advocacy. Left it completely, left corporate. And then, as I think in my brain I said I would never go back to corporate under the same conditions I went as marketing communications. I said I'd go back as a DEI person, and that's how I got to Steve Madden. So I work as the DEIB lead there, and the last thing I'll say is career-wise, one of the things I think that's really important to note, and I just kind of put this into words recently, I left a lot of companies quickly. And I never really worried about what that would look like on my resume. Everybody else was worried about that. My parents, different coworkers, people would trying to hire me, like, oh, well, you've left a lot of companies. And I was like, I just knew what wasn't for me. And I didn't have any problem leaving companies when I knew that this wasn't a safe environment for me. So that's just a little bit of the elements of who I am.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
That's okay. My name is Monique Shikarchi, and I am beyond elated to be here. I am from Toronto, Canada, and we got Toronto. But this again is almost like another full circle moment for me, because I attended BFF for the first time last year and found home. Because especially in Toronto, there's not a lot of spaces like this for people in our industry and people who are Black, and being able to say that loudly, proudly, and connect with others in that space. So this was a huge opportunity to come here last year, and now to be here on this panel and meeting such fantastic boss women is just a whole other level. So when we talk about who I am, I'm still figuring that out. I mean, at the age of 44, Lord, almost forgot I had a birthday.
I forget those too.
Right? On purpose, but it's okay. I blame COVID. I'm gonna blame COVID for a lot of things. Right, I lost a couple of years, so. But yeah, I'm still figuring that out, and I recognized that probably early on, actually when I lost my mom in 2019, because it was like, who else knows me? Who else knows me in this world now? Like, we're safe. So yeah, that's been a journey. And then now I've changed companies. I was at Adidas for 5 years and left that home. And so now figuring out who I am at Lululemon has been fantastic. Like, I didn't know that I had that many layers. I was like, girl, you're deep. Like, yeah, I'm pretty deep. But I think the other part too is I'm a mom of 4. So there's like that part. And one of them is 23. And so it's like we grew up together. And so I'm figuring out who I am while not being his mom at the same time, if that makes sense. So there's just a lot of like learning how to put boundaries in my life, and really understanding that peace is important. Peace is something I'm searching, I'm dying for, I can't wait to get there. And when I have those moments of peace, I'm like, oh Lord, like, I could stay here forever. So yeah, outside of that, I do this job. It's a great job. I'm a Key Cities marketing manager for Toronto at Lululemon. And Lululemon fam is here, so excited. So big up them, but yeah, I'm just happy. I'm excited.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So good to just be in community with all of you and have this not just important conversation, but imperative conversation. In our survey, I don't think any of us will be surprised, but the State of Self-Care for Black Women survey, some of the key findings indicated that racial trauma, stereotypes, and discrimination within the workplace and in our personal lives were key contributors to stress and anxiety and trauma. And while DEI initiatives are common in institutions today, fostering safe spaces for Black women require more specific resources available for them to focus on their mental health and emotional well-being. And while the stigma around mental health has lessened in recent years, the conversation surrounding Black women's emotional well-being and mental health has remained dry. And resources designed with Black women's unique needs in mind are lacking. This is why we created this app and launched our national survey and are now having conversations again that center us, Black women, and our overall well-being. So today, the Black Footwear Forum is giving us this beautiful opportunity to create a container that's for us, to have conversations like this unapologetically. And so I do want to say, when I say the word woman, that I'm using that as an inclusive term, that we're including our trans sisters, we're also including non-gender and gender fluid people. So today, I will be holding space for us and keeping the conversation centered on us. So look at the person next to you and say, you ready? You ready? I feel like I looked at somebody and they're like, I ain't ready. I don't know. We're gonna have this great conversation, so let's kick it off. Let's go. According to the survey, Black women didn't feel supported in the workplace. 53% don't believe their current work environment provides supportive resources for Black women. 50% say today's work environments do not provide safe spaces for Black women to discuss their stressors and share their feelings. What has been your experience throughout your career in workplace culture as a Black woman? I know, that's kind of like, somebody was like, ooh.
Right, so I think like I said, it was not unusual for me to be in majority white spaces. So I kind of had a muscle memory for what those environments could and couldn't provide for me. And I believe a level of confidence that allowed me to not stay where I didn't want to stay. That said, constantly since the beginning of my adopted life, I was looking for community with Black people. So, and it's a quest I continue to be on now. So, when I think about what happens in the workplace, things didn't completely take me out, right? But not having that community kept me like on the move. Like I never felt like I could settle in and just be that leader because I didn't have enough support. So it was constantly like, not looking for the next thing, but having to be on the search for the next thing because it didn't exist. So making that space now in ways is like, again, a little bit of a full circle, but it is lacking because there's not a lot of us in leadership positions, and when we get to those leadership positions, it's hard to give it back. And that's not a dig, it's just true because there's so much to do that it gets hard. And I was hearing that panel earlier with April Walker, someone said, it was like, I was standing on tables. Not everybody can stand on tables. Not everybody can do that. So the data doesn't surprise me the personal experience lines up with that. And now it's like, so Kate, how do we continue to chip away at that and you know, move mountains?
Yeah, I think I just want to layer onto that. 100% agree with you as far as like no community being there. So early on, I started in like, you know, just doing your day-to-day, trying to get by kind of thing. You're just trying to get the other promotion, single parent, just want to get the paycheck, etc. And so you did what was required to stay where you needed to be, right? And so I found myself like not doing my hair the way I wanted. I would not do my nails the way I wanted. I would not dress a certain way. I remember my hairdresser literally getting into the chair and she was like, so how white are we going today? I was like, we don't do this kind of white today. You know, like it was those kind of conversations because I was in the veterinary space. Like there was no room for that. And so you just wanted to get by and keep it pushing. But as I also started to like really center into who I was like, there's no filter, right? So I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm just gonna do what serves me.
I'm so glad you said the F word first.
I was like, they probably won't kick me out, but I'm gonna do it.
I'll say it.
Okay, good.
So we'll get kicked out together.
Now I know we're connected. But yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna do what feels good. Because at this point, I've done what's done, you know, good for them, and it's not getting me anywhere. So like, if I just do what's good for me, what's the worst that can happen? And so when I got to Adidas, that's when I really was like, I really don't give a shit at this point. Like, and it was necessary because you had people who were in the spaces with you, but they weren't growing. To your point, it was just flat. And so like, okay, you become a senior manager or what have you in that space. What happens when you're not there? Are you making room for somebody to be beside me? Because if not, to her point, the pressure is now on to stay here to make sure you don't get rid of this one and you make room for 5 more. So it was kind of like, but then again, you come to the point where you're like, I can't hold that responsibility anymore. Like you as a company, as an organization, have to do better, right? And so you get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm gonna just do what's necessary for me now. And when it comes to that data, absolutely, I wouldn't say that those vices or the things that we need are still in place. I think as time goes on, they forget. Like they forget that George Floyd happened. It's not always on TV anymore. You're not talking about these moments of silence. So as those things continue to perpetuate, those stories kind of dissipate. And so that's why it's important to still keep that space.
Deja? Is it me or is it cold in here? Yeah, so I would say that I've been very fortunate to be a part of the SEED program. And if you don't know, SEED stands for School for Experiential Education and Design. And it's a pipeline powered by Pencil and driven by Adidas. And it gives opportunity to BIPOC women who want to pursue a career in the footwear industry. So just being around BIPOC women, people that look like me, it created this community where I felt like I belong. And I felt like I deserved to be there, and I felt like I can actually do this because it was people rooting for me, and they were doing a lot of things behind the scenes that we didn't even see on a day-to-day basis. So I knew that I had to show up because I knew that they were showing up for me. And, but I do want to say when I finally got to my stretch assignment and work with Adidas and the brand, it was sort of a culture shock because I was the only Black person, even though we were prepared for those moments and for those times. You never really fully prepare until you're experiencing it and until you're in those spaces. So when I actually had my stretch assignment, I felt myself like having to work 10 times harder, having to show up and wanting these guys to schedule meetings with me. I wanted them to look at my work. I wanted them to know, like, I'm an amazing designer. Like, y'all are missing out. Like I have all this talent, and I think like 98% of that team still has never seen any of my designs because none of them really asked or none of them ever scheduled meetings. I was the one like reaching out, like, can we schedule one-on-one? Can you look at my work? Can you mentor me? Can you do this? So that was my experience when I finally got into the real world, I guess you could say. But actually my new team is much different. They value me, they've shown me that I'm worthy, that I deserve to be there, that I'm there for a reason. And I'm here to shift the culture and like just change the world, show up for women, and they want to put women first. WNBA, NCAA, all those athletes, and they put that at the forefront. So I'm excited to be a part of that team, and yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Whew. I feel like she's like, say it. Fuck, man, this is heavy. It's
And hopeful, heavy and hopeful. That was so
yeah, that was hopeful. Thank you. We rounded it up with Deja.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm saying it right. People mess my name up all the time, so I'm really like, I don't want to mess that up. Can we just take a moment? I can feel like what you all are saying. Like I feel it in my chest. Like I'm just like, oh. Especially, Monique, when you talked about how organizations and companies and people have forgotten, right? Like what happened in 2020 and 2021, and everybody was just like, oh, we gotta do better. And then we have all seen and felt that fade. And people that weave through the world with privilege, white privilege, get to forget. But we don't get that opportunity, right? We can't escape the oppression, the discrimination, and the trauma, and the anxiety and the stress that brings into our lives. So just even that first question, I'm feeling like all like activated my nervous system. So I just want to take a few minutes. If you have something in your hand, if you could put that down and just put your hands on your lap, or if you're feeling like some of that conversation stirred you up, like, oh, you can just place your hand maybe where you feel that. It could be on your chest or on your belly, maybe your head. You can just place your hand wherever. And if you feel safe and comfortable, I'm watching the doors, so FYI. If you feel safe and comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes. And we're just gonna take a few deep breaths. We're gonna breathe in through our nose for a count of 4. We're gonna hold at the top, and then we're gonna exhale through our mouth for a count of 4, all right? We're just gonna get grounded and centered. Ready? In through your nose on 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold and exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. One more real big inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a slow, long exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, you can open your eyes. How you feel? You feel a difference? So when these outside systems, oppressive systems, are impacting us, specifically Black women and femmes, we can't control that, right? We've tried. We can't dismantle that because we didn't build it, right? But what we can do is return to our breath. We can take an exhale. Our power lies right here, right? So when we walk into rooms, when we feel unseen, unheard, when people aren't looking at your designs, right? You're seeing other people just getting on the scene and their shit's getting seen, and right? We can like run to the bathroom or our car or in our seat or in our office or in our cubicle, and you can just inhale and you can exhale. That doesn't change what's happening out here, but it changes you. It literally shifts your nervous system. there's literally something that happens in your body that many of you felt. So whenever you feel activated, like I felt my chest, my heart, I felt like my breathing changed when you all were talking, you can shift that, right? And we can control the way stress is impacting our bodies, because stress is killing us, it's killing our community. Anxiety and trauma is killing us and it's killing our community. So when we understand, I actually have a tool, which is simply my breath, that can reduce stress, and that can impact my mental health, my emotional health, and my physical health in positive ways, all right? So you just got a little resource. Put that in your purse, your pocket, all right? We're just gonna keep talking. All right. So, 34% of Black women have left their job due to feeling unsafe. 50% indicate that there is no company culture of inclusivity for Black women. Did I just read that? We just did that. Oh, shoot. What just happened? Sorry, guys. I don't have my bifocals on. I'm trying to be cute. I'm 51. I'm 51. I'm not wearing my bifocals. I can see. You should see how big this print is. I gotta go. And I'm still struggling. I need to just get them out. I don't want to because I want to be cute. Okay. No judgment. It's fine. It's fine. Everybody's fine. We're fine. 50s are fine. 50s are fine. 77. Oh, somebody that's in there, probably in their 50s, she's like, do you want? I'm not. She's bringing it to me. This is sisterhood right here. Listen. She said they're 2.0, you'll be good. Y'all youngins in the house, well, about mid-40s, late 40s, your eyes get old too. My really good friends are eye doctors, husband and wife. She's from Turkey, eye doctors. And I have had great vision my whole life. And then about 48, I went in, I was like, I really can't see that well. And my friend was like, I love you, but your eyes are old. And I was like, ain't that a bitch? Your eyes get old? Nobody tells you this stuff. Nobody tells you. I mean, we saw grandma with her little chain, and she would have them around her neck, but nobody really talks about it. Okay, thank you. I can see great now. Whoa! Okay. So 76% of Black women are studied. They agree that there is a prevalence of people who believe Black women are stronger than most people and should be able to manage more stress than others. The moans and groans in the room. What are your thoughts on this collective belief, and how has this belief impacted your life?
I'll take this one. And because I've literally been like murmuring over that when I read the whole thing. And so two ways that can go. So we're the strong women in the room, you can do anything, yes, do all the things. Great, cool. Are you gonna pay me more money? No? All right, cool. There's that part. And then there's the other part where it's like, I need to be strong, I need to hold my shit together because the last thing I need is for you to see me crumble and then use that against me in my mid-year review. So then there's that part. And then there's the other part in your mind where you're like, I really could just slap the shit out of you. I go home and carry, because it's the carrying home part for me, right? So like,
Right there, that part.
it's that part because my kids suffer. So the go home and carry, and my son literally said it, we know when you had a bad day, we know when you had a good day, we know when we're gonna have some good food and when we're gonna take there's levels to this, because it literally impacts the home. So that part for me is where it's like, I can be strong. I can be strong on all kinds of levels. but why do I have to? Like, why are you requiring
Okay, we don't want that. We want an easy life. I want ease.
This is it, because unfortunately, the other part, as we were talking about stress killing, I recognized the other day one of my parents who raised me, she passed in March, and I was like, she's not even 60 yet. My mom was 65. Like, I don't know any of the women in my family who make it past 65. And so for me, I was like, damn, like there's something here now. Like there is a red thread here that is showing you are being strong at your own risk, right? Because now you're not living past certain ages. So that's where it's like, okay, how far does this strength really take you? And I don't care if I have to crumble, because if I have to crumble in order for you to take some of this pressure off, that's where I will be.
Thank you for that.
Sitting here going like, you've had like a lot of female boss in the last bit, so I just want to like, you know, like that's a lot. And I thank you for sharing it so openly, but, I think about this stress level and the strength when I think about when something happens in the world and you're at work, and like everybody just goes back to like working. I'm like, hold up, stop. Like, you know, we were on a call for one of our ERGs, and the Supreme Court decision came down for abortion rights, and I was like, I started to cry. I started to cry, and then after, a few folks came back to me even a while later and were like, thank you for holding some of that with us and like letting that emotion show, because we were all like getting off that call and going right back to do whatever it is we do. So it's a complex intersection of having inner fortitude and strength that's a legacy from our ancestry, that's real and true, that's true. And it also led to early death and other complications to health. And so it is that, and also what white people believe to be true in their heads about us, that creates these conditions that if we don't, you know, do different things with it, for it to advance in terms of being held in a different way, it will continue. So there's a place for everybody to do something too, and it may not be the standing on a table or doing these things that are like, it could be other more nuanced things that could happen that could shift and change, and these conversations are part of that.
Definitely. Thank you for that.
It's tough. I want to say, like, I think their perception of us being strong, it comes from our ancestors having to be so strong, and just seeing the things that they had to deal with. We don't have to go through any of that today, and like, we are our ancestors, so we're a reflection of them, so they see us as strong. But sometimes we don't want to be strong. We don't want to be strong all the time. Like, we want to be vulnerable and just drop the weight. Like, we don't want to carry that baggage and that load. And I think that it's okay if we drop our guard and just allow ourselves to be, allow ourselves to flow, and not be so strong all the time.
And I would say we still go through some of it, just looks different.
It looks very different.
It looks very different, but it's there, and sometimes when it's not as overt, it's almost more harmful. So
Mentally.
it's, right, like it's there, it just looks different. Yeah.
And I just want to add to that is like, when we talk about being this strong and how dangerous it truly is, my cousin, she works for 911, and she was telling me the death rate of women during COVID lockdown by suicide was exponentially higher than they've ever seen. And so, and that's due to the stress, you being strong, you holding all this stuff together, like there's all these things. And now, you know, she hears doom and gloom all the time, and now she's having to take a moment back. Like the nurses, the doctors, those who are on the front line, like those are the people, you know, and you're like, you're gonna break. It's inevitable if you don't allow that to, like, just don't depend on everyone to be that strong.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm also thinking about movements like the NAP Ministry, who is really encouraging us to rest, and how it's not like, back in my 20s, I just wasn't even a part. That was not a conversation that was being had, and especially in workplace environments, like rest, ease. It was like hustle, grind, work harder, do more. And I think what you all are saying is that can be at our own detriment. So I think about movements around Black women resting, Black women pulling back, giving up the grind and hustle culture, and believing that you are enough, and that you can do the work, and it's going to be good work, and that it can move the needle for you. And prioritizing your own well-being and your overall well-being. When I think about pulling back and resting, I think about my grandmother. My mother adopted me. I was a little foster baby with no name baby in the hospital, left there, and a Black gay woman adopted me, who is now 80 years old, Betty. She's a badass, and don't mess with Betty, you know what I'm saying? She's amazing. And when I think about her and my grandmother, I think about how hard they worked. But something my grandmother taught me was rest. Like, she would work hard, but we would come in from ripping and running and playing outside, and she would be in her recliner with her feet propped up with her eyes closed. And my sister and I always thought she was asleep. And so then we started cutting up, getting into stuff we weren't supposed to get into, and she would pop her eyes open and say, "I hear y'all, I see what you're doing." And we're like, "We thought you were asleep." And she's like, "I'm not asleep, I'm just resting my eyes." How many heard that when you were growing up? I ain't asleep. And as I kind of entered into this wellness, well-being space, that has been ringing. My grandmother passed away when I was in my early 20s, and but that voice, that memory has come back to me. And I think that our elders did know something. They knew something about retreating, about taking a respite, about pulling back. And I think it's important that we take those moments to rest our eyes, that we pause in the middle of the day, really unapologetically, and close your eyes. Sometimes when I worked in the corporate world, I would just go out to my car on a sunny day. It'd be real warm because it'd be freezing in that corporate office. I was like, people hot. Like, it's cold. I'd have my mittens and gloves and scarf. Like, dang, this ain't even a real temperature. So I would go out in my car and it'd be real toasty, and I would unthaw and I would rest my eyes. I would thaw out, but I would rest my eyes. So when we think about self-care, when we think about prioritizing our overall well-being, sometimes it can feel really overwhelming, because here in the U.S., it's been defined for us, right? This is what self-care is. This is what wellness practices look like. But it's been defined centering whiteness. And what I believe, and the work that I'm doing, is to redefine what self-care practices, what wellness looks like for the Black community. Because it don't look like y'all going on retreats in Bermuda and get your purses and your bags, and who's babysitting your kids? Who got your kids? You got nannies, and that's awesome. That's awesome, and some of us can do that, but some of us can't, right? And some of those spaces, those wellness spaces, some of us do yoga, or we go do Pilates. A lot of times at the front of the room is white people who haven't done their own work of decolonization to be able to hold space for the Black and brown people in the room. So whether they mean for it to be harmful or not, those are harmful spaces for Black and brown bodies. And so what I believe needs to happen is we need to redefine, what does wellness look like what does that look like for me? What does self-care look like for me? Well, for me, it looked like several years ago, on my lunch hour, going to my car and resting my eyes. right? And doing that in micro ways. Does it have to be an hour? Does it have to be a membership at the local yoga studio? It can be these micro ways, right? Microaggressions we experience all the time. How do we create micro self-care to help care for ourselves? So it can be as simple as resting your eyes. Look at the person next to you. Find somebody. Say, don't be resting your eyes during the rest of the session now. Do it in the next one. Rest your eyes in the next session. Okay, don't do it right now. We want your full attention. Put my sis's bifocals back on. Thank you. My daughter's in the back helping me keep time. Hi, Brenda. Finn in the house. She just entered into the footwear industry. She did an internship with Converse in Boston last summer, and they offered her a full-time job because they're smart, because she's awesome. And her dad and I are like, she got a job! Get out of our pocket! No. Thank you for being here, Bob. Hence my Converse. I have to rep the Converse. Okay, well, let's get back to the conversation. I go down alleys and back streets. So we're back. 36% of black women, we already read that one. Okay. While diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives are common in institutions today, fostering safe places for black women require more specific resources available for them to focus on their mental health and emotional well-being. As a result, 77% of black women surveyed believe there is a need for more well-being tools and resources tailored to support their specific needs. Why do you believe these types of resources are important?
I mean, it's, if we don't want to deplete humans, period, there have to be more resources in corporations. That's just a basic reality. The specificity of things for persons of color, for black women, it's about, I think, it's about having options for people to be able to decide what might work for them, not being given something that someone else who sometimes isn't black, but usually isn't black, is saying that this is what you need, right? It's layered, because I think the first element is, how can we be the smartest we absolutely can be about the diversity of needs and what could be an option for someone, because so many of us have come into the workforce without knowing what those things are. So I think they're important resources, but it takes a lot of thought and attention and education to even just, not even just transactionally put the thing out there, but to have a real, even before you put anything out, is who's around that table deciding what those things are, and do the black women in a company have a voice to say, that doesn't work for me? And I think it's critical, just generally speaking, that there are more health and wellness tools and social emotional learning in schools. I mean, all the things that we know that that's true, but getting there and providing the resources means that don't count on your company to do that shit for you. Make sure that you're participating in what works for you, but make sure you know and go to the places that are soft for you. Because what can happen at work can augment that, but it's not the answer for it fully.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Thank you for that.
And at that point, I'm just gonna back out anyway, so you're kind of wasting your time. But I think the thing for me is like, it's the community you create within those spaces, because that's home for me. Like, you know, Progressive Souls was when I was at Adidas, like there's, and even now, there's certain areas at ERGs. I think the ERGs for me is it. I feel like that's where, if you start to invest in that properly, and I mean really truly invest in that, don't do it just because there's Black History coming along. Like really truly invest in it as a tool and a foundation for those who, you know, identify in different respects to your company. I think that's where it starts, because it's literally, I don't feel comfortable all the time having to have certain conversations, and I don't want you to feel as though you shouldn't invest because I don't feel comfortable. It's maybe just taking a look at what you're putting out there and really designing it specifically where you're providing that community, and within that community, they can really create what's necessary to support those who are in it.
Yeah, no, that's good, because
Great tools, you said.
I think that I was raised in community. I think Black people are used to community. Like, we don't heal in silos, right? We heal in community. We need each other. So I think that that's a really key point that you brought up. Thank you for that. Do you have anything to weigh in on?
I kind of agree with them both.
Great. All right, we're going to take a few minutes and just open it up for questions, comments. Yes, we have a mic that's going to come around, I believe. We're going to bring a mic to you so we can hear. You're cute in your green and black and white. It's so cute.
Thank you.
I'm Jerlisa. Oh, this is a lot. I'm Jerlisa. I go by Jerlisa Nicole. Hi. I've heard a couple of you speak about being moms or having outside responsibilities if you are a mom. How do you guys navigate that as well as having self-care? Because I'm a mom also, and there are times when I have to be like, look, everybody gonna get slapped. And that's the end of the conversation. And I'm trying to like balance having teenagers while also having to work and be a person and show up and all of that. So how do you guys manage all of that, plus being Black in the space, plus everything?
Yeah, girl. These kids are trying to kill me. But great question, and I didn't really start to figure it out till this year when I started at Lululemon. A friend and coworker was like, you know what? You need to start to put boundaries in your life. And I was like, what's that? I don't know what that is. Like, I go to the washroom, everybody comes in. Like, it's full time to have a conversation. So I understand what you mean. Like, I'm talking 5 people come in and you're trying to just have your time. And so I think it's about truly putting time for you. So for me, I started working out recently, and I do it when my son goes to school. So as soon as he gets on that school bus, I'm out. Like, I get up, the first thing I do, I put on my workout clothes, and I hold myself accountable to get to that gym. Because that's the other part for me, it's really hard to get there. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna look cute, I'm gonna go, and we just never get there. So
But you have on your cute Lululemon pants and shoes.
you know,
They're
and
cute.
we looking cute, but we just don't get there. But like, it's literally holding myself accountable to putting me first is absolutely necessary. So even if it's half an hour, find that half an hour if you need to listen to a podcast, whatever. I literally tell them, don't talk to me. Like, it's Grey's Anatomy's night, it's like when it was Scandal, all those things, like, do not talk to me between 5 and 9 o'clock. Because, I'm just saying, 4 hours, it's a whole lot going on. There's like 5 of them and 1 of me, so yeah, 4 hours.
Thank you for that question. Yes, we have a question up here. Oh, we have a question right here.
Can you just tell me what space you hold for crying?
I'm all about crying.
I love
Let it flow. I mean, I model that. I think I have some coworkers in the back. Particularly, I've cried in front of Greg. Greg works with me as Steve Madden. I've cried out of frustration, out of sadness, out of any number of things. I know he can hold that with me. I don't think Neville has seen me cry yet, but you might. I was a crier as a kid, and it was very different than the family I was adopted into. They didn't cry. And I was like, I don't know, I'm just gonna do this. So I think however, not everybody can do that. And I think it does create a narrative in people's heads when you do cry in front of them. So it's cry at your own risk, but I think, especially as senior leaders, it's sometimes even higher risk when you cry, but I'm like, show emotion. I mean, I think we're freaking human beings. When some shit goes down in the world and then you got a TikTok right back to work, I don't know, I'm gonna either close my door or call someone in with me to have a cry.
Yeah, my grandmother and mother used to be like, what you crying for?
Yeah.
You better stop crying. And I remember as a little girl, like sucking it up and pushing it down. And so we've been conditioned, I believe. I don't think I'm the only, how many else, your parents was like, what you crying for? You better stop crying. I'll give you something to cry about, Lord. You crying, you want something to cry? So I think we're used to sucking it in and pushing it down. So I think that there's a level of doing work with yourself and giving yourself permission to show emotion. Because we've been conditioned to not, and the reason why our parents did that was to protect us, was to keep us safe. Like you out in the world looking all fragile and stuff, you're gonna get ate up out there, right? And so there is a level of like, oh, hold on, I need to release this. I love what you said about knowing who to do that with. Creating safe spaces. My safe space is my closet with nobody around, just wailing, just tearing it up in there. So and some people can't cry because of trauma, because of other things. You may have to. I like to, I'm a coach. This is another commercial if you would like to. I only coach Black women, so if you want to coach. But I work with my clients on creating a toolbox. And sometimes what's in your mental and emotional health toolbox is a therapist, it's a coach, it's like those people that can help you peel back those layers and do that work. But I think we have to interact with ourselves in ways that give ourselves permission to cry because we've been told not to. One more question, we have somebody up here. Oh, she had, can we ask her question? She really wants to ask.
I wrote it down. So you said mental click. There's a question that can be asked by someone that's not Black. What's so specific about the mental care and self-care of a Black woman that is so different? Why does it have to be something specific? How do you answer that question?
The way I answer it is that we experience everyday stressors, right? Like other people, like our counterparts, right? White people, but those stressors are compounded because of systemic racism, systems of oppression, anti-Blackness. So we have added stressors that our white counterparts do not have. Therefore, we need specific care around that, right? And I think that the Black community has realized and is still continuing to learn how racism, and specifically Black women, misogyny, impacts our mental and emotional and physical health. It's weathering us, it's killing us. And so we have to do that work to
You have to defend that question.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
You need this.
Here's a very practical tool for anybody, any white person who asks that question. Go back to 2019, 2020, when you, for the first time as a white person, had to negotiate space in a different way, and how exhausted you were when coming back from the grocery store, right? Oh my God, I have to mind my movements. Welcome to the friggin' party, right? So anybody ask that question, that's a very practical, universal element of our existence that we all shared, brought us all collective trauma, but it also brought us an operating system, a personal operating system that had to be reset for white people that were like, first of all, I don't like not having control. Second, I don't like having to negotiate space in this way, and I'm tired. I'm really exhausted. Well, welcome to every friggin' day. That's why you need specific things. Because everybody, no one can say, I don't know what what you mean. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's good, thank you.
Can I add on to that? So I would love that question. And I also love your response and how you mentioned that to her. I was just thinking in terms of like our melanin. Like our melanin, it holds DNA, it stores a lot of information. Like we are condensed sunlight, and that's why we can like sun gaze and get into the sun and get in nature and just actually be outside. Our bodies are different. And just our makeup. We can't depend on other people to tell us about ourselves if they don't live in our skin. And we have to educate ourselves. It comes from people that look like us that will educate others and tell them about themselves, because we can't really depend on people outside of us to do that for us.
That's a good point. I just want to wrap up with a quote from our auntie, Audre Lorde, from her book, A Burst of Light. She says, caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. So you taking care of yourself is resistance, right? It is self-preservation. Oh, I can't see you now. You're blurry. It is self-preservation. So every time you pause, every time that you unapologetically prioritize yourself, you are participating in political warfare by taking care of yourself. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate just all of the engagement. If you want to bring Excel into your organization, please look me up, Qatar McCarty on LinkedIn. We do well-being courses. Again, I coach Black women. If you're interested in coaching, you can find me there. I also do keynotes. We can bring this panel discussion into your organization, your company, if you're interested in that. You can find me at Katara McCarty, KATARA-MCCARTY.com. You can check out my services there. Follow these ladies, keep up with what they're doing and their amazing work. Thank you for this beautiful conversation. For being here. You're wonderful. Thank you for your vulnerability. I appreciate it. Thank all of you for being here as well.
Thank you for making it safe.
Thank you.